Let us continue the journey of understanding how to conduct courses online and in blended mode. This is module 3, wherein we'll look into the tools and techniques for delivering online courses. Okay. So the first tool, most important tool that is always there, is the learning management system. In fact, this tool is so important that we are going to have a dedicated course on learning management system. So now, what is a learning management system? It is a central platform for content delivery and course management, right? It's an online platform for one thing. And this online platform is typically web-based and accessed over the internet. Okay. Now, examples include Moodle, Canvas, Blackboard, and so on. And as part of this particular course, we will be looking at Moodle as one of the learning management systems. Okay. The key features to look for in a learning management system include the ability to upload content, tracking of various assessments, submissions, and so on, and also communication through discussion forums, right? So these are all the key features of any learning management system. So there will be, if you search, you will find literature on, right? So what are the key features that any LMS should have, or you can look forward to, right? So you please try to go through that and try to understand the full capabilities of LMS. Now we also have a dedicated module wherein you will have an hands-on experience with Moodle. So that is why the LMS part of it I am going to skip over and jump into the video lectures and screencasts. Okay. So what is it we are looking at? So we are looking at the ability to provide pre-recorded video lectures, right? Pre-recorded video lectures are an essential and mandatory component of any online course. Okay. So this feature is necessary for the promise of flexible learning, right? Anytime, anywhere learning, if that has to happen, if you don't want all the learners to log in at say 5 p.m. every evening, right? Then you have to, if you want to give them that flexibility to learn at any time, then the ability to work with pre-recorded lectures should always be there. Now, there are many tools for working with pre-recorded lectures to create pre-recorded videos. So, Camtasia, which is a licensed product, or OBS Studio, which is an open source product. So, what are the useful features associated with video lectures and so on, right? So, the first feature is called as chunking, right? The chunking, as I mentioned in my previous video, chunking is the ability to break down these online lectures into smaller components. So, each component could, again, depending upon the pedagogy being followed, it could be as less as 10 minutes to as much as 30 minutes, but it is never 90 minutes or 2 hours. Screencasting. Depending upon the nature of the course that you are teaching, especially for engineering and technical courses, you may want to use certain tools. You may want to demonstrate certain tools, right? So if you are teaching programming courses, you may want to share the programming screen, right? The editor screen. So when you want to do those kind of sharing, then the ability to do screencasting becomes important. Okay, so screencasting goes much beyond sharing the screen. It also may allow you to write on the screen to highlight certain portions of the screen that you have shared. Automatic captioning is the ability, right, to create captions, closed captions of the video as it plays. So when the video is being watched, the closed caption will be automatically enabled below that. So that becomes important when we talked about inclusivity. right? So if you want to have people with hearing impairedness to attend your courses, to take your courses, you need to create this ability to create automatic captioning. Automatic speech transcripts, right? So the closed captioning is something that will keep displaying the text as we speak, but automatic text speech transcript is essentially a document which contains the entire transcript of whatever is spoken in that particular video. So that is called as automatic speech transcripts. And one more example of a tool that may be needed are digital writing pads. Okay, if you want to annotate the screen as we speak, right, as we are lecturing, then you need the ability to, firstly you need a hardware wherein you can write with a digital pen, and you need the software to be able to show it on the screen itself, right? So the PowerPoint, for example, as a software tool, has got the ability for you to integrate it with the digital writing pad and then write on the slide itself. The features that we saw in the previous slide, they are useful for generally asynchronous communication, asynchronous components of your course. Asynchronous means wherein the learner and the instructor are not together in the same virtual space, right? So you are pre-recording, uploading. Whereas when you talk about synchronous communication, then you are doing a live session, right? So what is it that you need to keep in mind? Firstly, you need a real-time interaction tool, right? So once again, thanks to the thanks but no thanks to COVID-19, we all have done this, right? So we all have used one of these tools like Zoom, Microsoft Teams or Google Meet in order to deliver live sessions, right? So this synchronous communication is another way to say, talk about synchronous communication is to say live sessions, okay? So these are used, this can not only be used for live lectures, but this can be used for office hours, right? Once again, many of these things you would have done during the COVID-19 pandemic, wherein typically when we are sitting in the class, in our office, students are free to walk in to ask their doubts. Now, how do you enable that in an online mode, right? So what we had done, we ourselves have created this online office hours wherein I will be already logged into my online tool, right? So in our case, it was Microsoft Teams, and we used to publish our personal URL to the Teams meeting room into which anyone can come, right? Yeah, we can set up such that you will have to admit them into your room, but then anybody can walk in. It's almost like somebody is coming and knocking at your door, right? So that can be used for office hours and group discussions. So this is something I have personally done several times, wherein I want to have a group discussion on the course project. So I'll set up a group meeting and we all discuss it in synchronous mode. So what are the some of the other useful features in the synchronous communication tools? We need to be able to do live polls. Okay, so this is where it becomes very different. An education specific synchronous communication tool will have these features, whereas a normal video recording, videos sharing will not serve the purpose. So this is also trying to tell you that a communication, synchronous teaching, live online classes, merely relying on a video capable phone or something is not going to be good enough. So one such feature is called as a live poll feature, okay, which some of you might have already used it in a very effective manner while the class is going, right? Suddenly you can post a poll this will work only in synchronous polling, wherein you expect the people to respond. You ask, you are teaching one particular concept, and then suddenly, you pop out a question, a poll question, saying that, in this particular case, I will just pop out a question, right? Which of the following tools can be used for live online classes? So, as options, I will put Zoom, I will put Microsoft Teams, I will put Google Meet, I will say mobile phone, video camera, right? So, suddenly I will launch that poll right away, and people will respond, and looking at the responses, I can understand the level of understanding of the class. So, all of a sudden, if I still see that people are choosing all 4 options, including the webcam, the phone camera for conducting live online classes, then it is obvious that either they have been not been paying attention, or I have not been clear enough in explaining. So, what I will do, I will explain one more time why video calls are not necessarily a great way of conducting online live lectures. So, live polls are very useful. If you want to have project discussions, right? So, what you can do is you can create breakout rooms. You should be able to create breakout rooms into which different groups of students are put virtually, and you can give them a topic to discuss, and then you can step into any of those rooms as a moderator and try to listen to what they are talking about. You can give your feedback. You can, as an instructor, you can go from room to room. So, it is all very useful, this ability to create breakout rooms. Remember, all of these things are in the virtual space, not in the university space or the classroom space. Q&A sessions can be handled in a couple of ways, right? Now, if you are especially in a synchronized session, so you can say that you need the ability to even understand who is having a question. So, you should know as an instructor that there is a hand raise feature. So, if they raise the hand, then you can see visually who all have raised their hand to ask a question, and then you should know how to enable them so that they will ask the question and you are able to provide the answers. In very large classroom setups, online classroom setups, this kind of an interactive QA session may be difficult to handle. Right? If there are, say, 1,000 students, we did talk about MOOCs. If there are 1,000 students in a live online session, then this kind of an unmuting and allowing them to ask a question will take the entire day, if not more. So, we should have the ability to have moderated chats, right? So, this Q&A will go hand in hand with the chat window, wherein learners can post questions on the chat without any limitation. There is limitation only in your ability to allow people to ask, unmute and ask. So, if that is not something that is possible or practical, then you can create a moderated chat discussion and have teaching assistants monitor that chat session, right? So, you can add any number of TAs and then not put any restriction on how many such questions you will take. Another feature which we have personally found very rewarding, especially for the students, is automatic saving of recordings of live sessions. This can be very useful for good students to be able to revise the course content and so on. And from a student point of view, you need to be able to provide access to the recordings of these live sessions. Okay, and again, depending upon the institution policy, right? So, for example, in our institution, so we have the policy that if you are absent, you cannot watch the recording of the video. I know this is a little counterintuitive. You may be thinking the very purpose of recording the video is that they can go back and review it in case they have missed a lecture. But then we don't want, in a college, in a university setup, you don't want this, that they miss all the classes We don't want the videos to substitute in-class experience. So you can have different kinds of policies, and accordingly you can provide access to the recordings of the live sessions. For asynchronous communication, of course, discussion forums I talked about, email, voice threads, right? So all these are very useful tools and for asynchronous communication, right? Which means that I have the ability to leave a voice message or a text message in some forum that somebody will look into it and respond to the same. Okay. So from an asynchronous communication point of view, one advantage you have is that you can pose questions that may not require instant response while you are there. So this gives you the opportunity to encourage critical thinking and reflection. Now, which tools can do this asynchronous communication? Of course, Moodle can do asynchronous communication. Majority of the use case of Moodle is asynchronous communication. These days we can use business WhatsApp for limited communication. Once again, it should not be used as a replacement for Moodle forums. Interactive and collaborative tools, right? When we want this learning to happen, we always say we don't want passive learning. Right? So how do you avoid passive learning? How do you bring activities? How do you force learners to do some activities while you are running this course? So you can create collaborative documents that you and the learners can share, and the learners will type something and then you will provide feedback, they will be able to write back. And so all of these things can be possible if you are using all these popular online collaborative tools such as Google Docs, WhatsApp, no, not WhatsApp, but Microsoft 365 contains, Office 365 in particular contains the entire suite. Interactivity and collaboration can also be achieved using virtual labs. I hope many of you, or if not all of you, are familiar with Government of India's Virtual Labs initiative. It is a fantastic effort. I think this is something you should search for and take a look around as to what kind of tools that are there. Right, so you have tools wherein programs can be automatically evaluated. Right, so these are all very valuable tools. When you do a practical lab activity, then the assessment can be automated, or simulations can be done for other disciplines of engineering. Okay, once again, interactive and collaborative tools can be done on group projects, peer reviews, real-time editing, and so on. Let us talk about assessment tools and techniques. Okay, so online quizzes, assignments, project submissions, all of these activities have to be enabled through your LMS in online mode, right? The good old days of slipping away the answer sheets under the professor's door, those days are gone. So the assessment tools that any system should support and instructors should use are online quizzes, online assignment submissions, project submission, and all of these things will give you plenty of additional online benefits, such as fixed deadlines that can be specified. You can specify the total duration until when they can submit it, and so on. So in terms of the tools, you have the LMS quizzes, Google Forms, Turnitin. Turnitin is a specific tool for plagiarism checking. Okay, so as always, you have to consider the academic integrity measures. You have to take academic integrity measures. Engagement enhancement techniques. We are always worried about engagement in online courses, whether it is synchronous or asynchronous. So you have to be creative, you have to bring in additional ways to increase the engagement of learners in courses. So gamification is one technique that has been used quite successfully. So you make the whole thing into a game environment, and then once they achieve certain milestones, you can give them badges, and the badges will accumulate and make them into leaders and so on. So there is a whole bunch of badges that can be collected. And when it comes to leaderboards, leaderboards are specifically for activities wherein you can show who is the leader of the pack, in what position they are. So this may be quite more motivational for students to say that, okay, I need to move up the leaderboard. They can set goals saying that at least I'll move by 5 positions, 2 positions, right? All of these things can be pretty useful. And a sure way to guarantee engagement is personalized feedback in a timely manner. Okay, so the specific, if you are conducting an assessment or an activity, you need to be able to give specific feedback, personalized feedback. And what is interesting is these assessments that we saw, all of them support this rubric-based way of providing feedback, personalized feedback. So you can create rubrics and then you can also give personalized feedbacks. Technical support and troubleshooting, right? Things will not always be smooth. So that is something that we have to keep in mind. So we may have to prepare guides and FAQs for students, and a separate guides and FAQ for faculty members as well. Okay, so we need to prepare these FAQs because for faculty members, especially if they are delivering synchronized courses, then they will need to know how to deal with certain problems that may all of a sudden come. But you need to provide the ability to for the learners themselves to debug it. So you need to provide frequently asked questions and prepare necessary user guides. In addition to that, it is always a good idea to have timely technical assistance through, say, some email address, and then you specify the timings for the same, right? So all of these things will enhance our ability to provide timely technical assistance. And you have to plan for backup options in case of outages. So what kinds of outages do we have to plan for? We have to plan for server outages, we have to plan for internet outages, you have to plan for equipment outages, right? There are only certain things for which you can create a backup or move along with alternative routes. But if my equipment fails and then my keyboard doesn't work, then how do I deliver a course, right? So for that you have to have some kind of a backup mechanism. So essentially from a tools and techniques point of view, these are some of the important things that one has to keep in mind. And I do want to remind once again that we do have a very detailed session with Moodle later on. Okay, so this whatever we have spoken, modules 1, 2 and 3 as part of this particular course is mainly addressing online courses, right? So we also know this whole course is also about blended mode courses, right? Blended means what? So you have an online component and then you have a face-to-face component. So in the next 2 modules, we will talk a little bit in more detail about blended mode courses.